Did you know that your brain is actively deleting memories right now, as you listen to these words? The human brain stores roughly 2.5 petabytes of information, enough to hold 3 million hours of television. Yet you cannot remember what you had for breakfast 3 Tuesdays ago. You probably cannot recall the name of your first grade teacher without effort. Most of your childhood is a blur. This is not a flaw in your memory system. It is the system working exactly as intended. Your brain is a ruthless editor, and it deletes far more than it keeps. Let us start with the most mysterious gap of all. Why can you not remember being a baby? Scientists call this infantile amnesia, and it has puzzled researchers for over a century. You experienced the world intensely during your first 3 years. You learned to walk, to recognize faces, to understand basic language. Yet almost none of those experiences made it into your conscious memory. The reason lies in the hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure deep inside your brain that acts as the gateway to long-term memory. In infants, the hippocampus is not fully developed. It is still growing new neurons, a process called neurogenesis, and ironically this growth may actually overwrite early memories before they can be consolidated. Think of it like trying to save a document on a computer that keeps reformatting its own hard drive. The data never gets a chance to stick. By around age 3 or 4, the hippocampus matures enough to start holding on to experiences reliably, but by then thousands of days of infant life have already been discarded forever. Here is something that might disturb you. Your memories are not recordings. They are not video files stored in a vault somewhere in your skull. Every time you recall a memory, your brain actually reconstructs it from scratch, piece by piece, like an artist repainting a scene from rough sketches. This is called reconstructive memory, and it means that every act of remembering is also an act of creation. Details get filled in, smoothed over, and sometimes completely invented. In one famous experiment, researchers showed people a video of a car accident and then asked how fast the cars were going when they smashed into each other. People who heard the word smashed gave significantly higher speed estimates than those who heard the word contacted. More disturbingly, the smashed group was more likely to report seeing broken glass in the video, even though there was none. A single word had rewritten their memory of an event they had just watched. This is not rare. This happens to you constantly. Your brain fills gaps with plausible details, and you never notice the edits. The forgetting curve is one of the most replicated findings in all of psychology. In 1885, a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus conducted a brutal experiment on himself. He memorized lists of nonsense syllables and then tested how much he could recall over time. The results were devastating. Within the first hour, he forgot roughly 50% of what he had learned. Within 24 hours, 70% was gone. Within a month, nearly everything had vanished. Modern neuroscience has confirmed this pattern holds for most factual information. Your brain is not a hard drive. It is more like a whiteboard that someone is constantly wiping clean. The only way to move information from short-term to long-term memory is through rehearsal and emotional significance. Without repetition, without meaning, most of what you experience today will be gone by next week. But not all memories fade equally. If someone asks you to describe your life, you will notice something strange. You can recall far more events from between the ages of 15 and 25 than from any other decade of your life. Psychologists call this the reminiscence bump. The leading explanation is that this period is when you form your identity. First love, first job, leaving home, choosing a career, making mistakes that feel enormous and permanent. Because these experiences carry intense emotional weight and because they are happening for the first time, they get encoded with unusual strength. Your brain does not remember the routine. It remembers the novel, the emotional, the identity-defining. This is why an 80-year-old man can describe his high school prom in vivid detail but cannot remember what he did last Thursday. Emotional intensity creates some of the strongest memories, but it also creates some of the most unreliable ones. Flashbulb memories are the vivid, detailed recollections you have of shocking events. Where you were when you heard about a tragedy. The exact moment something terrible or wonderful happened. These memories feel photographic. They feel more real than ordinary memories. But research consistently shows they are not more accurate. In studies conducted after major public events, researchers found that people reported extremely confident memories of where they were and what they were doing, but when checked against records made shortly after the event, the details had shifted substantially. Confidence and accuracy are not the same thing. Your brain uses emotional intensity as a signal to store a memory, but the storage process is still reconstructive, still subject to editing, still unreliable. Feeling certain that a memory is true has almost no relationship to whether it actually is. Every night, while you sleep, your brain is performing one of the most critical maintenance operations in biology. During deep sleep, the hippocampus replays the day's experiences, transferring important memories to the neocortex for long-term storage. This process is called memory consolidation. But here is the part most people do not realize. Sleep does not just strengthen memories. It actively deletes them. During REM sleep, the brain prunes synaptic connections that were formed during the day, weakening and eliminating memories that it has judged irrelevant. Your sleeping brain is deciding, right now, what you will remember tomorrow and what you will forget. If you are not getting enough sleep, this consolidation process is disrupted. Studies show that sleep-deprived individuals retain significantly fewer new memories and are more susceptible to false memory formation. Pulling an all-nighter does not just make you tired. It makes your memory editor sloppy, keeping junk and discarding treasures. The newest threat to human memory comes from the device in your pocket. Researchers have documented what they call the Google effect, also known as digital amnesia. When people know they can easily look something up later, their brains are significantly less likely to encode it into long-term memory. In experiments, participants who were told the information would be saved on a computer remembered less than those who were told it would be deleted. Your brain has started outsourcing the job of remembering to your phone. Why memorize a phone number when your contacts list does it for you? Why remember directions when GPS handles navigation? The problem is that this outsourcing goes deeper than phone numbers. People are increasingly unable to recall personal experiences in detail because they are documenting them with photos and videos instead of encoding them with attention. If you spend an entire concert watching it through your phone screen, your brain registers that you were looking at a screen, not that you were hearing music. So what would happen if your brain stopped deleting? What if you remembered everything? This condition actually exists. It is called hyperthymesia, or highly superior autobiographical memory, and fewer than 100 people in the world have been diagnosed with it. People with hyperthymesia can recall virtually every day of their lives in extraordinary detail. Ask them what happened on March 15, 2004, and they can tell you what they wore, what they ate, and what was on the news. It sounds like a superpower. It is not. Most people with hyperthymesia describe it as exhausting and overwhelming. They cannot forget painful experiences. Breakups, embarrassments, losses, all replay with full emotional intensity whenever triggered. They have difficulty distinguishing between important and trivial memories because everything is preserved equally. Your brain deletes for a reason. Forgetting is not a bug. It is the feature that lets you function, that keeps you focused on the present instead of drowning in the past. There is another dimension to forgetting that scientists are only beginning to understand. Your brain consumes about 20% of your total energy despite being only 2% of your body weight. Memory storage and retrieval are among the most energy-expensive operations your brain performs. Every memory you maintain requires active neural maintenance, synaptic strengthening, periodic reactivation during sleep. If your brain kept every single experience in perfect detail, the energy cost would be unsustainable. Forgetting is, in a very real sense, an energy conservation strategy. Your brain triages information the way an emergency room triages patients. The critical cases get immediate attention and long-term care. The minor scrapes get a bandage and a wave goodbye. This is why you remember the birth of your child in exquisite detail but cannot remember what you wore last Monday. One event shaped your life trajectory. The other had zero survival relevance. Researchers have also discovered something called reconsolidation, which changes everything we thought about memory permanence. When you recall a memory, it enters a temporary unstable state where it can be modified before being stored again. This window of instability lasts about 6 hours. During this time, the memory is vulnerable to change, update, or even deletion. Therapists are now using this mechanism to treat trauma and phobias. By triggering a traumatic memory and then introducing new information during the reconsolidation window, they can weaken the emotional charge attached to the experience. The memory does not disappear, but its power over you diminishes. This discovery suggests that memory is far more fluid and malleable than anyone previously imagined. Your past is not fixed. It is being quietly rewritten every time you remember it. Understanding how your brain manages memory can change the way you live. If you know that attention is the first gatekeeper, you can choose to be more present during moments that matter. If you know that sleep is when your brain decides what to keep, you can prioritize rest as a memory strategy. If you know that emotional significance strengthens encoding, you can actively connect new information to things you care about. You cannot stop your brain from forgetting, but you can influence what it chooses to remember. The most important memories of your life are being written right now, in the choices you make about where to place your attention. Your memory system evolved not to be a perfect archive but to be a useful guide. It keeps what matters for survival and discards the rest. It smooths out inconsistencies so you can maintain a coherent sense of self. It compresses decades of experience into a manageable narrative. The fact that you forget 99% of your life is not a tragedy. It is an engineering marvel. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what billions of years of evolution designed it to do. The question is not why you forget so much. The question is whether you are giving your brain anything worth remembering.